So you've probably all seen this land use study. This is one of 3 concepts that was developed through a number of stakeholder meetings starting last summer to get people's feedback and to help us come up with what we wanted to see. The ideas on this land use plan, and this is a 54-block area surrounding the Civic Center. This is not all of downtown, but just a piece of downtown. The ideas stem from the strategic planning process that this community went through for about 1.5 years to see what the citizens wanted to see downtown. And some of those components that were included in the strategic plan included a convention hotel, the possibility of a multi-purpose ballpark, addressing parking, addressing retail, housing, mixed-use development. So if you remember the aerial that I showed that had quite a bit of vacant land, we began to focus on this area in particular as a way, as an opportunity. You take what was kind of a shame in losing some of those buildings and turn it into an opportunity to redevelop. And I think that's what we have here with a lot of publicly owned land and the opportunity to redevelop this area and capitalize on, of course, the Globe News Center, such a wonderful facility and public-private partnership that came to fruition, as well as the Civic Center that's already there, and the need for a convention hotel. And then how can we bring those resources together to create enough synergy? So speaking of synergy, I mean, this is one of the key principles when you look at other downtowns, no matter the size of the downtown, whether it's small, medium, large downtowns, they all capitalize on the synergy of projects and public-private partnerships. These are 2 key principles. It doesn't matter where you look, be it Waco, Denver, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, doesn't matter where you look. These are principles that are in place for successful downtown redevelopment. It requires enough projects, a synergy of projects, which means the sum of the parts, the whole is more than the sum of the parts. It means that when you have multiple projects in one area, you're able to capture additional investment. And that's what we're trying to do here. So in that public-private partnership, we had the public that wanted to move forward. We needed the private partner. And so we began to seek a master developer that can help us redevelop this area, help us create a better efficiency, reduce costs, and a quality development, quality across all developments that they would work on. I met Joash and David Wallace a little over 1 year ago in February last year, and I met them learning about a project in Waco and the amazing renovations that had occurred in downtown Waco over the past 7 or 8 years. The thing about Wallace Bajali was that they had met everything we were looking for. They had successful projects on the ground. You can go see them, touch them, feel them. They're working, they're occupied, and they worked to bring those downtowns back. They had the ability to bring and willingness to bring private capital to the table. Obviously very important. We need that private partnership. And they brought experience. They have experience both in the public sector and the private sector, which was very valuable to us. I mean, they had been on the public side of the table. David Wallace was mayor of Sugar Land for 6 years. Joash headed up their economic development there and steered the projects in Sugar Land that were so successful. And very importantly, they had coordinated successful communications and outreach to the public on both the private and the public side. So Joe's going to talk more about their projects in Waco and Sugar Land specifically, but the thing that struck me, and I toured their projects in Waco, was the impact that it had. Of their $80 million investment in downtown Waco, that spurred another $300 million in private investment. It was not Wallace Bajali's, but other developers' investment. So, within 6 or 7 years, they had $400 million of investment that was spurred by that initial investment. And that's the synergy of projects that we're talking about. The other thing that was interesting is the city provided the land that was sitting vacant, and was a cost to them to maintain. It brought in no tax value. Once they developed on that land, it's still owned by the city, but the projects sitting on the land are owned by Wallace Bajali. And Wallace Bajali pays $2 million per year to the city now in taxes. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. We have the same kind of, vacant, publicly owned land here that's bringing in zero in ad valorem taxes and could bring in funding. And so this is the Heritage Plaza, Heritage, something like that, Heritage Square, sorry, Plaza Square. The public meeting place where the public come, and I'm not going to steal his thunder, I'll let him talk about that. But the housing was an important component there that brought people 24/7 to Waco. And then Sugarland is another project that has really had incredible success there. So after working with Wallace Pajali for about a year, this February, the city signed a contract with Wallace Pajali. And one of the very unique things about that contract is Wallace Pajali takes 100% of the risk on the due diligence. That's highly unusual to have a public-private partnership where the private partner takes 100% of the risk on these projects, which means that Wallace Pajali is paying for all of the studies, all of the work. This isn't just their time to come here, but we have to pay consultants. They pay consultants to do the work that it takes to make sure these projects are designed well, that they're what the community wants, and that they work. Should the projects be built, Wallace Pajali is compensated 5.5% of those projects for their work, from coming up with financing, determining financing tools, to design all the way through construction. And very importantly, they are helping us analyze funding sources that don't come out of our pockets. And they have incredible skills at understanding all of the different creative financing tools. And they're also, part of their contract is to look at not only a new build convention hotel, but the Herring, and they'll be doing that analysis. So I love this quote: when you get to a fork in the road, take it. And I think we've come to that fork in the road, and we'll see where the road takes us. I hope you'll join us along that road and help us get to where we need to go. But we need to take the fork in the road.